go get a mentor right now. Go get a mentor. Don't be afraid to pay for that mentorship. You got to look at the cost versus time. My time is super valuable. Your time should be super valuable. Pay for the right mentorship so you can kind of not go down the bumpy road that you will. Real estate is definitely one of the best tools to break that generational poverty chain. I mean, this is a tool that, like I said, I wish I would have knew early on some of the financial decisions that I made.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Real Estate Podcast. Today, we have a very special guest. We got Tony Daniels. He's a firefighter. He's a personal trainer. He's a real estate investor. He's from Cincinnati, Ohio. He's got a really cool story, and I'm excited to interview him today. And that way he can tell you guys about where he's come from, what he's overcome, and how he's gotten to where he's at today. So thank you for joining today, Tony.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me. Like I always say, I don't know how much value I can provide, but man, if I could just kind of help one person, that's good for me.
Yeah, I'm sure you're going to provide a ton of value. Do you mind kind of telling us about where you're from? I like to start this off by learning a lot about you, where you grew up, where you're from, and kind of what made you, who you are today.
Yeah, so I grew up in Cincinnati, Ohio. Pretty rough area. Just really gang ridden. A lot of friends and family kind of got lost in that gang world, selling drugs. Just kind of following the in crowd. So we had quite a bit of friends and family who just lost their life to the streets. And kind of growing up, I always knew I wanted better, but you kind of who you around. So being around, people who are making bad decisions, you kind of just slowly go down that rabbit hole of making bad decisions just by naturally being around people. So growing up, where we were, Boys and Girls Club was kind of very instrumental in helping to kind of raise and shape us, as knowing that if I didn't have the Boys and Girls Club, I definitely would have made different decisions that would have led me down a totally different path.
Let's talk about this for a second. So, where at in Cincinnati?
So it's the area is called Avondale, and it's slowly starting to turn around a little bit. But it was just kind of ground zero for the drugs and the gangs. Back when I was in elementary, joining the gang was like the thing to do. Everybody was joining gangs just because they were looking for that camaraderie. They were looking for that family, that long lost brother, that long lost dad that they didn't have, and naturally they looked for their peers. And if their peers were making bad decisions, they were naturally making them same decisions.
Yeah. And did you kind of get lost in that life a little bit, or no?
Luckily enough, I didn't, man. Sports saved us. Me and my brother was heavy into sports. And I think the big difference from kind of what we call our OGs now versus when we were younger, if you were kind of doing anything positive, they didn't let you hang out on the street late. I mean, they would chase us in the house, like, y'all don't need to be out here. You're going to get on the house. So naturally, between the Boys and Girls Club, because like you had kind of rules where if you were suspended, you couldn't come. And that was the place to be. Like the Boys and Girls Club was everything. You got to eat, you got to play, different sports. So having that structure, which a lot of the peers that were looking for some kind of structure, that's why they gravitated towards the game, because naturally there was some structure in the game, right? So, but we were able to find that structure with the Boys and Girls Club that kind of kept us off the streets, which kept us from making the bad decisions. So sports and the Boys and Girls Club kept us from going down that rabbit hole.
Tell me about a Boys and Girls Club.
Man,
What is it?
so it's basically they're a nonprofit, and they basically they get a lot of donations to feed. I mean, they used to give us Christmas gifts, and the big thing is the structure of sports. They did they had a lot of like arts and science type of things. But the meals were probably one of the bigger things where we knew we would get a hot meal every day going there. So between the meals and just the sports and being able to play different games and the arts and things like that can get help with your homework. So it's kind of like a YMCA. A lot of people know about the YMCA. It's kind of like a YMCA, but structured towards troubled youth and areas that would definitely probably not have that YMCA, as it costs a lot of money to join a YMCA. I think with the Boys and Girls Club, it may have been like 15 or $20 for that year to be able to have all the access to the different things that they offer.
Got it. Okay. And what sports did you and your brother play?
So football was our main sport. It's kind of cool. We got quite a few family members who were kind of heavy into football. My brother was played football at University of Cincinnati, had a full ride. So football was kind of our main thing. We kind of dibbled and dabbled in a couple others, but football was our main sport. And naturally, my brother actually his stepson just got drafted this past draft and went pretty high, like 7th overall. So it's kind of cool to see the full circle, as we now also got a little cousin who just got a full ride to Minnesota. So it's kind of cool to see sports kind of bring families together. I'm a big sport guy, as I feel like it teaches a lot of life lessons, things that you naturally cannot be taught. How to deal with people, how to deal with adversity, all these different things, how to deal with different people, different cultures, different ethnicities. I just think sports brings a lot of things that it's hard to just naturally teach.
Yeah. And what position did you play?
I played linebacker and then defensive line. I was kind of playing out of position in high school just because I was kind of good at that specific defensive line. I should have been playing linebacker, but I enjoyed every bit of it. And naturally, it was kind of cool. Sports took me as my freshman year to a Catholic school. So it was a couple of us went over to play football at a Catholic school in Kentucky. And that was like the first thing that really, when we went over, it was like people had money, right? Like people had money. People dibbled and dabbled in like real estate and all these different businesses. And that was my first time really meeting people who were either owned their own business or had kind of legacies of families owning businesses. So that kind of really sparked my eye when we went over there our freshman year, as to like, man, there's a whole different world out there versus where we were, and kind of being entangled in our own little world in Avondale.
Yeah. And so you played football throughout high school. Did you graduate from the Catholic school?
So I didn't. I ended up transferring to play with my brother. He played at a high school where I graduated from, Princeton High School, which was good in a sense because I got to meet a lot of different people, and actually that's where I ended up meeting my wife after I graduated. So there was a lot of history. Most of my family went to Princeton, so we had some kind of heavy history with Princeton. So I would have definitely stayed at the school. Some things kind of happened. We kind of got too good too quick, and then they made us, like, we had a coach that used to come and get us and take us over. State kind of came in because we beat a couple teams we had no business beating, and they're like, who's all these kids coming over playing football? So we had to like end up catching buses. So I would have had to end up catching 3 buses to get to school, and it was just becoming too much. But just with my personality and things like that, I had a couple of the parents that wanted to like adopt me to bring me over and stay there. But I ended up ultimately deciding to kind of go and play with my brother, as me and my brother are really, really close. All of my siblings are close, but me and my brother, just because we're kind of closer in age and played all our sports together.
Yeah. Okay. And did you go to college after that?
So I did, and I ended up having some heart stuff happen. I ended up having 2 heart procedures. I had what they call Wolff-Parkinson-White. So
In high
all
school?
throughout, yeah. So I used to pass out quite a bit, and I just thought it was normal. Like I would, get to the point to where I get lightheaded, dizzy, passed out, thought it was normal. I ended up finding out when I was in Arizona, passed out again. They kind of ran some tests, told me I needed some heart stuff done. So they did 2 procedures. And man, I was actually close to having to get a pacemaker, but they were able to go through my groin to be able to get to that heart, to be able to basically solderize that extra valve to prevent the tachycardia that I would have on just a regular basis. Like I could be sitting, stand up, and man, I feel like I'm about to pass out. So that was kind of the initial me wanting to, like, I always wanted to be a fireman, but I couldn't just not play football. I couldn't just say, hey, I'm done. So I felt like that was kind of my way to be able to say, okay, this is what I really want to do. Let me go ahead and get healthy so I can do what I naturally want to do and help people. And it worked out, definitely worked out for the best.
That's crazy. I mean, 17, 18 years old, needing a pacemaker.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, it definitely obviously changed the trajectory of my life. So I'm definitely, I still talk to the surgeon because kind of growing up, obviously not having the best health insurance. I had one of my surgeons kind of did the surgery pro bono, and the hospital kind of was on board to do quite a bit of stuff. So I still talk to him on a regular basis. We kind of got an open line of communication, so it's kind of cool that we still communicate. And he's been, super proud and super instrumental and kind of keeping me focused when I kind of get to the point where I'm like, man, this is getting hard. He's like, well, it could have been harder. You could be walking around with a pacemaker. I'm like, you're right, buddy. Let me regroup and kind of get the old sorry for me face and keep moving. So
yeah. Okay. And so after the procedures, after high school, you went into the fire academy.
So I kind of dibbled and dabbled with a couple different jobs. I was always kind of a worker bee. Like even in high school, I had jobs all the way through high school. During football season, I had jobs. So I was always working a lot. So I ended up kind of working at this factory, and it was one of the hard. I was a steel factory, and you talking about some hard work, wearing these suits. It was super hot. Worked there for about 2 years, and it was kind of cool because the older guys knew that I wanted better for myself, and they kind of forced me out, and they were being mean naturally on purpose just because they wanted me to do something better than where I was. We were making really good money, but a lot of the guys were dying pretty early because of a lot of lung stuff that was going on with what we were doing. So they definitely made it uncomfortable for me. And I still see a lot of the guys and they're like, man, I was like, man, I was so mad at you guys for doing that. But they were like, hey, like we knew you wanted better. We knew there was better for you. So only way we can, get you out the door was make it uncomfortable because the money was good. So being a young fella, not really having a whole bunch of bills and things like that, I was happy with just staying there, but I knew I wanted better. So as I started to work there, ended up meeting my wife. She's, was super instrumental into kind of helping me do better. Ended up kind of finding the fire service, kind of worked a couple different part-time jobs, and ultimately ended up getting on where I'm at, City of Cincinnati, full time.
Okay. And how long you been with City of Cincinnati?
So this will be my 10th year coming up. So I've been with them for almost 10 years. It's been a definitely amazing. I like, there's not too many people I can say that actually love their job. Like I truly love my job. I like enjoy going to work. We've got a really good crew, really good camaraderie, and it kind of reminds you of that football team. Like we're, guys are super close. We do a lot, some things outside of the firehouse, but we work out every day together. So it's kind of definitely a brotherhood in a sense. That's why I think I kind of was gravitated towards firefighting.
Yeah, I can only imagine that it's very similar. Did you experience any, so with the heart procedures that were done, I would imagine like military, maybe firefighting. I would imagine that maybe that would be an issue, but I guess it's not, having that medical history. Was that kind of an issue getting into the fire academy?
So it wasn't just because the doctor who did my procedures pretty, I guess, world renowned. So once he signed off that I was good, the fire department was good with that, but that was definitely one of my concerns as I was going through the process. I scored pretty high, and I was throughout the whole process, which was about a year process, start to finish. I was concerned the whole time, just thinking, man, they're going to get to this physical and I'm going to get, pushed out of the process because of this. So I was meeting with him pretty regularly. He did like a couple different stress tests. With him signing off, that definitely helped. But that was definitely one of my big concerns, that they were going to push me out of that process for the issues that I had.
Yeah. Well, I mean, thankfully, all is good. You had a
Yeah.
world-renowned surgeon, man.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. He looked out for me. Like I said, he didn't have to do any of the things he did, but he met with me quite a few times. And like I said, he did the whole surgery for free. So it was definitely God looking out for me in that sense. And I thank him quite a bit every time I talk to him. And he's like, man, you got to stop thanking me so much. I'm like, I'm just so happy, because it could have definitely changed my whole trajectory of life if
yeah,
if I didn't have him. So
yeah. Okay. And so firefighting, get into the academy, stop working at the steel factory. At what point do you start personal training?
So I started even as I was before the fire service. So I had a son. He actually just graduated, and ironically, he's going to the fire service also. So he just graduated this year. But we were training, and me and him wasn't seeing eye to eye when it came to training. Dad don't know nothing, right? So we started doing some training, and we were kind of butting heads a little bit. And he was, kind of like, "Hey, Dad, can I bring a couple of my buddies to train? I think that would make things better." I'm like, "Okay, son, cool." So just kind of at the local park, just kind of getting after it. Obviously, naturally, more and more people, driving by, seeing what we're doing, word of mouth. I'm a big kind of word of mouth kind of guy. Big about taking care of the people that I have, and let them kind of do a lot of my marketing. So as I was really dialing into the people that I was training, obviously they started seeing results. Parents started seeing results. It started to grow, and me wanting to get away from some of the 24-hour shifts, because we do 24/48. So we're on one day, off 2 days. But I had multiple fire jobs. So I would basically work another part-time job. So naturally, I was gone a lot, wanted to be home a little bit more. So I was like, hey, this is a vehicle where I can start to put more effort into this training business, get away from the 24-hour shifts, knowing that I was like, okay, well, now I'm starting to get all these people. I've got to naturally get some insurance. I've got to start like treating it like a true business versus just a hobby. That's what made me kind of really start to dial into becoming an actual business and running it like an actual business. So as we
Yeah.
started to kind of get things growing. It just naturally grew as I was, really making sure I kept the people, make sure they were doing well, and making sure that I'm big about like these gratitude texts. So every morning I get up, I have three different people that I text, just gratitude texts, and most of them are my athletes, and they just enjoy that. To the point that I kind of did like this little experiment. I was like, I'm not gonna text my couple of my athletes, and they like kind of got mad at me, like, I was looking forward to that text. I was like, okay, so it is working. So it's kind of cool to see that they enjoy getting them before their games. They're getting these texts like, have a good game, do well, and they enjoy that.
Yeah. And where's the personal training business at today?
So right now, we're kind of in this weird space. We're kind of growing a little bit faster than I really wanted to, so to say, just because it's me now. I did just hire my first other trainer, so I've got a lady who's helping me, Coach Courtney. She's been amazing. But right now, we actually just hit like 98,000 followers on Instagram. So we've been really humping with our Instagram, and I'm kind of starting to get a little bit more laser focused. So I was kind of all over the place. I was doing all these different sports, baseball, football, basketball, lacrosse, and now I'm kind of really kind of becoming hyper focused on volleyball and lacrosse, and it's definitely changed my business as I'm starting to get more and more volleyball players, which have just grown like crazy. So I'm kind of at that crossroad of like, I need to be really, really growing a lot more, but I'm not sure I'm ready to, as this real estate is really my passion and it's kind of taken over a lot of my day-to-day time.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna get into real estate in 1 second.
Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
curious on the personal training, why volleyball and lacrosse
So
versus like naturally you'd think maybe football or something for you.
yeah, so it's kind of crazy. Like football is always been my only sport that I was coaching. So I do football camps. I do a football camp once a month, and that's been growing really, really well. I think with volleyball, it just naturally happened where every girl wants to jump higher, and most of the trainers that a lot of my girls go to don't really treat them like athletes. So they're not squatting, they're not hang clean, they're not doing all these things that's going to get them results because they're female athletes. Well, I come to the picture, I'm like, I'm going to treat you like an athlete. We're going to squat, we're going to hang clean, we're going to push you to the point to where you understand that you can do better and you can go farther. And man, they just gravitated towards that. So I had a couple core kids that I would just beat up. We would get after it. They would get results. So they naturally would tell their friends, and I was posting videos, and of course, everybody wants to be in a video. So as I'm posting videos, girls are seeing their friends doing all these cool exercises, and now naturally on the court, they're getting results. So everybody's where she go? She didn't do that last summer. It's like, well, she's going to this guy, and it just naturally grow. Like that was never my intent for volleyball to be what it was. I had literally a core of parents that came and asked me to do some stuff with them, with these group of girls, and I never intended it for it to be what it is now. But just naturally treating the girls like athletes, it just exploded.
Yeah. Okay. And what about lacrosse?
So lacrosse, we kind of picked up lacrosse. I've always been kind of interested, as my son started playing seventh grade, and I just seen the transition from football to lacrosse being like really, really good. Well, kind of the same thing, like coming from lacrosse to where now, like I'm training a couple girls high school lacrosse teams, and same kind of deal, man. Like they just don't treat them like athletes. So I'm coming in, I'm doing a lot of football training within lacrosse. Well, naturally, they're getting results. Like I'm showing them like Barry Sanders highlights, and they're like, "Oh my goodness!" I'm like, "I'm gonna have you doing some of these cuts and things like that." They're like, "No way!" And then we're doing it, and they're doing it in games, and parents are like, "What in the heck?" I'm like, "You're a running back. You're a receiver." In a sense, with a stick. So we're doing all these trainings, and these girls are getting like these great results. And naturally, parents are just like, yeah, we need to go to him because he's out there really pushing the girls. So it's been kind of a cool experience and experiment, knowing that like how I'm now treating these athletes like they should be treated, the result that they're getting, and they want to be pushed. But I think we've kind of gave them that option of quitting, man. And I see the other end of that when they don't get pushed early or get challenged early. Once you put that in their repertoire to where they can quit, they will quit. This newer generation, they're just different.
Yeah. So the people that you're training, I assume that this is all in person and somewhat local, isn't it? Or do people travel from all of the United States to come?
So it's kind of crazy. I'm getting more and more people that are wanting to travel. So I'm getting a lot of people that are now traveling. Most of it is local schools, local parents. But I'm getting a lot of people who are reaching out to want to come and travel, and I'm also getting a lot of online wanting me to do some things online. I probably right now are getting 2 to 3 messages a week about wanting some online training, and that's where I'm saying it's like, but that for me, that's just another rabbit hole, man. With how my dyslexia works, like I cannot be going down all these rabbit holes. Like I have to stay kind of hyper focused. on one thing, as I've got that, shiny object syndrome. And now I'm like, oh, I need to be offering online training. It's like, Tony, stay focused. Like, that's not what we're here to do right now. Like, this is our focus. Let's stay focused. And that's one of my hardest things I have to do, to sit myself down and say, like, not at this time. I'm not going to say no, but not at this time, because I'm kind of hyper focused right now.
Yeah. It's not just you. I mean, we deal with the same thing. So, at what point did you start getting into real estate investing and want to pursue, buying rental properties?
So I had a just to kind of go back a little bit, in high school, I had he played for Cincinnati Bengals. He was a left tackle. He was kind of became a really good mentor / friend. He introduced me to a couple books, Rich Dad Poor Dad being a book. Read it in high school. It really didn't resonate as much. Got a hold of it, reread it as I was in the fire service, and it just resonated, right? Like, it was like this game changer of just like, holy crap, like, this is what I want. Well, fast forward, me and my wife was renting an apartment, and the apartment we were renting was definitely expensive. It was in a nicer area, which I had intentions of, moving moving the kids into a nicer area, nicer school district. Well, the rent was go up every year. Well, this was like 08, 09, where the house market just went to the tank. So we were like, well, let's just go ahead and try to buy a house. Let's just go ahead and try to buy a house. Didn't know we would qualify, never looked at the area. Well, this house came up, it was a foreclosure, and we ended up being able to qualify for it. And I think our payment went up like $30. And it was like a game changer for me. But fast forward, as we started to get into this house, happened to get into an area that is just exploding. I mean, we bought this house for 154, and I think our last appraisal was like 343, and it's went up more. So it just has some natural appreciation in there. So as I started to get into the book, I ended up coming across Bigger Pockets episodes. So I just went down that rabbit hole. I went down a rabbit hole. I was trying to get every podcast that I could with Bigger Pockets. Came across two guys. One guy being a local guy by the name of Nate Berger. So he was a local guy, Cincinnati, Ohio area. Well, we kind of connected, and I ended up joining his mentorship, which was just a course. I ended up joining his course. And man, that was a game changer for me, going through this course, starting to hear all these terms that, that started to resonate, started to make sense. Well, then
what was the course on?
It was the Burr Academy. It was called the Burr Academy. Okay. So it was teaching the Burr method, which made sense to me at that time. It's just going down that road. And I was like, okay, this is definitely one I want to do. I definitely want to do a Burr. Things actually started kind of getting a little harder, as this is, just this year I've got my first property. So I've only been at it for, close to 8 months now. So it was just getting harder to find properties. So as I'm going through this mentorship / course, still kind of listening to the Bigger Pockets episode, and I come across a fellow firefighter by the name of Mike Webb. And he was a firefighter, heavy into real estate, doing all these crazy, amazing things. Well, I reach out on social media, just the power of social media is just amazing. If you use it for the right reasons, social media can be just an amazing tool. So I reached out and I hounded. I mean, I just hounded him every day. I hounded him, trying to get one-on-one mentorship. As I know, me personally, how my dyslexia works, like I've got to have a kind of a checklist of things. Like, too much information for me is no information. That's just how my mind works. So even though I had this course, I had, people that were helping me. Everybody was doing different things. You had people that were doing short-term rentals, people that were doing long-term rentals, all these niches. And I knew that I needed to find someone who was going to kind of help me narrow down and become hyper-focused. Well, Mike was definitely that person. So we kind of connected, and I knew that I wanted to get someone to charge me and hold me accountable. So he charged me, I think, the bare minimum that he would be willing to charge me in order to do the 6 months, meet once a week, just to kind of hold me accountable. And man, that was definitely what I needed. We kind of dialed down. We were able to analyze a few properties. He was able to give me a lot of good daily steps, like, hey, this is what we're going to do this week. Nothing else matters. Let's concentrate on this one thing, which goes into the book. He had me read The One Thing, I think it's Gary Keller.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, that was like what I needed, because it really kind of shown like nothing else matters. All this noise, I've got to focus on this one thing. Let's get this one thing that's going to move the needle. So he helped me kind of dial in on analyzing the first property that I got. And when I was in the negotiations to purchase that property, I know for a fact I wouldn't have pulled the trigger, because I was even talking myself out of it. And finally he was like, you need to purchase this. I was like, okay.
Hey, this is Alex, and I'm the co-owner of TRE. Since the beginning of time, real estate has created more millionaires than any other investment, and I want to get you involved in a community that will help you achieve your goals within real estate investing. I know you don't have the knowledge, connections, or resources to start investing today. Most people spin their wheels over and over and over without ever actually taking any action to successfully start investing. That's why I want to get you involved in our community so that you can get the hands-on support, training, and meet the other members that you can start doing deals with in order to start investing in real estate. You need to get in the room with the right people who can help you achieve your goals and get the hands-on support and one-on-one training that you need in order to start investing. Just click on the link in the description to join the entrepreneur community today.
So he definitely talked me into purchasing my first property, and it was definitely not a home run at all. It was a base hit, strictly a base hit, and I knew this is definitely what I needed. And it was, like purchase price was like 115. I put 20% down. Haven't done nothing with the property, as it inherited a tenant. She had been there for about 10 years, Section 8 tenant. But the cool thing is the tenant has been in there for 10 years. They didn't touch the rent. So I think she was paying $950. Day one, I was able to increase that rent to $1,500 day one. So I was like, hey, I just need this as a stepping stone base hit just to get me started, because I knew I never would have went down the road of actually being an investor if I did not pull the trigger.
Yeah. Well, let's break down this deal if you're good with it.
Yeah.
All right. So where'd you find the deal? Where are you looking?
So this was actually kind of through a relationship. I had me now, starting to get to the point to one of the big things he had me do was say, you're an investor now. You need to post, you need to tell people you're a real estate investor. Well, talking to a couple of the parents, one of the parents' dad was in the process of selling. So he's got three properties he was wanting to sell. And we ended up talking and narrowing down to this 1 5-bedroom property that he had. So I found that one through a relationship.
Okay. And what this is in Cincinnati?
So it's in Cincinnati. It's in a area, kind of a mixed areas. It's definitely not one of the really up and coming areas in Cincinnati, but it's got potential to grow as it's by a highway. But he had it for a long time. He bought it in like 2008, paid like 28 grand for it. I ended up paying 115. And for me, that was like, obviously looking at that, like, man, like this is crazy, just this appreciation thing. So that's what kind of really showed me too how the power of appreciation and kind of holding something long term. So once I purchased this property, literally as I'm on my way to closing, I'm talking to a bunch of different realtors. A realtor approached me about off-market pocket listing property. So I'm like, well, I'm on my way to closing. I was like, can I give you a call after closing? Of course, I'm on hiatus right now, like nothing for 6 months. Now I'm getting all these people are reaching out about, properties, and that's just me kind of putting things in the air, letting people know like, hey, I'm an investor. This is what I want, kind of narrowing down my buy box. So the second one was, this has been kind of amazing as
So
this
you're talking about second property you bought.
this is the second property. Yeah,
Let
second property.
Can we break down the first real fast?
Yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. So you bought for 115 in an RI area, Cincinnati. You put 20% down. So you put what, like all in with closing costs, lender
I,
origination points, like 30 grand?
yeah, I think I was like 28. I think I was like 28,000.
Okay. And then how'd you get the loan for the property?
So this is a 30-year, we did a 30-year fixed rate loan. And I went through just a broker who actually helped us refinance our house. So I did a cash out refi. That's how I was able to get most of the money to do some renovations and things like that with the second property. But I didn't have to do anything. I still haven't had to touch the first property, as I'm starting to kind of dial in to my niche, which is going to be shared living and group home. So that's kind of my niche right now. That's what I'm planning on doing. And I'm operating 2 properties with that niche right now.
Good. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And so this first one, 28K down. Do you know what your interest rate is?
It's 8%.
Okay. And then your mortgage payments, is it principal, interest, taxes, insurance?
Yeah, so I want to say it's 959 right now.
Okay. And then PITI, you manage it yourself?
I am managing it myself. Section 8 tenant, so she's not really high maintenance or anything like that. So I'm trying to do as much self-managed as I can. But I'm in the process now of starting to venture off, as I know I want to grow. So I got to get my processes and systems down. That's my whole goal now, is to start to get my processes and systems down.
Good. And you bought it, she was renting it out for like 900 something. I assume it was maybe a month-to-month lease when you bought it at the time.
Yes, yes, yeah, because she had been there so long. It's month to month. That's what kind of made me like, okay, not going to mess with it. As I knew I was starting this full rehab for my second property, I did not want to deal with trying to do another property at that point. So I
Yeah.
said, I'm gonna just let that ride. 1,500. I've got like room to grow. I think market rent in that area is like 1,900. So I've got some room to grow in that house also.
So did you because you did pretty much, almost double her rent, but Section 8 is paying for the rent, correct? She maybe
Yes.
pays a portion.
Yeah. So right now, Section 8 pays 1,100 and she pays the rest.
Got it. And so was it a process getting Section 8 to approve the higher rent
So
once you bought it?
So it actually wasn't, and this is kind of that whole relationship thing. I'm on the phone trying to get things accomplished, and finally I'm like, I'm just going to go down there, because I was, anything kind of bureaucratic is just it's a nightmare trying to get the
Yeah.
right person on the phone. So I just went down there, talked to the lady, and got just kind of I had my research, right. So I didn't just come down and say, hey, I'm going to raise your rent. I want to raise the rent. I gave her some comps of where rents were in that area. I gave her kind of that market rent area. I gave her what she has been paying and where the market rents are, and where I wanted to increase it and why I wanted to increase it. And I didn't get any pushback whatsoever.
That's great. And so within a month or two, Section 8 had approved the higher rent.
Yep.
And so after, taxes, insurance, you're not paying for management, maybe some maintenance throughout the year. You're probably cash flowing about, I don't know, 3,600 or so a year.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm right now, obviously this has only been month 3. So right now my monthly cash flow is about 405, right now. Which for me, like I said, being that first one, I was not planning on doing that second one at all. So I was kind of like, I'm good with that until I kind of start to figure out kind of what I wanted to do, my niche. And I was good with that. I was definitely good with that, as most of the people who were either helping me or showing me the process was good with $150 a door.
Yeah. Well,
So
and I mean here, this is, over a 10% cash on cash return, which is great. Put 28 down, you're making more than 2,800 a year. You're doing pretty good on it.
yeah, I thought it was a pretty good thing, but like I said, my ultimate goal was me knowing that I was getting into that group home style where this was a 5 bedroom where I'm now able to rent out each room. That was all ultimately the reason why I went with this 5 bedroom, knowing that my cash flow would be crazy once I was able to get that rent by the room or by the bed philosophy that I wanted to accomplish.
Yeah. I'm not sure if you know this, but I used to manage sober living homes, and Matt and
Oh,
myself,
really? Okay,
we
no,
owned a
that's
sober
awesome.
living. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm very familiar with
Oh, so you get it then. Okay, perfect.
it's probably a different structure, I imagine, of what you're looking to implement, but let's dive into it. So this
Okay.
second property, you're renovating it to turn it into a group home, correct?
Yes. So right now, like I'm kind of going down, and this is where kind of the ADHD not being hyper focused, but I'm going down to kind of two different areas. So I've got the youth, which is the true group home. So that was my original goal, was to be able to catch people before they age out of the system, to give them the tools, because a lot of times they age out and they've got the statistics that show majority of the kids that age out become homeless. So it's like, okay, how do we catch the kid before they become homeless? The only way to keep them on this, being able to be on the system until they're 26, is for them to be either in school or in a trade. So my goal was to catch them before they age out. So I've got the youth one, which is the true group home, but I'm also right now dealing with homeless people, placing people who are homeless that are transitioned to get out of homelessness and be able to get jobs and financial literacy within our property. So kind of two different niches that kind of narrowed down to one. But right now, so the second property, this was a full rehab, full gut job, literally down to the studs. I was able to take it was a 2 bedroom, possibly three, and I turned it into a four bedroom. So I was able to add basically 2 additional rooms, knowing that I was going to be doing this model. But that one I bought for 17.5, and it needed, like I said, it had some mold and quite a bit of damage, so had to take it down to the studs. So everything from the inside is new besides the actual studs.
You bought it for 17,500.
17,500. Yes.
Where at?
It's this one's in an area called Middletown, Ohio. So kind of a up and coming. It used to be, it reminds me of an Avondale, but kind of on the outer skirts. So you've got like that heart and soul of Middletown that's like not very good, but then it's starting to venture out because you have people who want to either stay in Middletown or now get moving from other areas, because it's still affordable, but kind of on the outskirts, you still can get some nicer areas. So I'm kind of in a really good area, being on the bus line. Still a bunch of like the older neighbors that kind of care. Nosy neighbors is kind of what I call them. So every day is usually 3 or 4 neighbors sitting out on the porch, trying to figure out what's going on. So it was kind of cool to kind of chat with them. And a lot of times, like when I went out of town, I had one neighbor who called me the one time because I was still getting work done, and he was like, "Hey man, he ain't never doing no work. He just sits out on the porch." So I was able to call him like, "Hey man, you got to get to work. Like my neighbors already told me you've been taking all these breaks." So it was kind of cool in that sense that they were really watching the house.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I bought it for 17.5. This one I
How much you put into it?
so I'm 17.5. I mean, it's not 17.5. 77,500 is what I put into it.
All right.
So I just got my appraisal back, man, and it came back at 140. Appraisal
Congrats.
came back
That's
at
awesome.
140. So I'm hoping to do a cash out refi. I'm in the process of doing that now. Just got my rates and everything back, so I was able to get a 7.1% rate, 30-year rate, and I'm hoping to close by September the 15th. I'm hoping to be able to do a true burr and cash out refi, and take 75%, man. So I'm hoping this is, fingers crossed, this will be kind of a burr, if it all the cards work out, man. So I'm very excited. So it was like a 6-month process, and I kind of did a lot of my self-managing or I wanted to be my kind of general contractor on this one, as I figured this would be the one to kind of, get my process and systems, learn my process of hiring, firing. And that's kind of what I did. I did a lot of the hiring myself, kind of got screwed a little bit as I was kind of counting on, a couple guys to that they had guys, but they were just subbing out majority of the work. So we had quite a bit of things that kind of had to be redone. Should have been able to get out about 65, but just with the people messing up and me having to redo things, the budget kind of went up. But I kind of put that in my budget to be able to have some leeway to for these mistakes to happen. So it kind of worked out really, really well, man.
Yeah. Okay. And the work is all done now, right?
Work is done. We just signed a contract so because of my schedule and how things were, like, I knew that I would not be able to do all the finding of people as of yet. Like, I'm hoping to get down that road, but I ended up hiring a property management company that specifies in this kind of process. So they basically have the clientele, and they manages the property. So I was able to get right now a contract for this one is 1,900 for this property, for the second property. So we've got that company paying 1,900 and they're kind of handling a day-to-day operation.
A group home?
Group home, yes, sir.
All right, very cool. So basically, you found a company that operates group homes, and they're just going to rent the place out from you.
Yep. So that's the kind of my plan until I start to kind of, again, dial in the processes and systems, as I know me, right? So it's, instead of me trying to say, hey, I can do this all myself, I know I can't. I know I'll just get overwhelmed. And for me, once I get overwhelmed, I'm just stopping everything. I'm ready to jump off the ship. So I was like, how do I kind of minimize the day-to-day things until I'm able to get my system, my processes on, how to bring people in, how do I get paid, all these different things that I knew I wasn't ready to just jump in the water with. This company definitely kind of helping with that void. As just a couple weeks ago, as I'm kind of going through this process, I end up finding one of my buddies has a rental, and I'm subleasing his property right now also, which I'm able to then bring that property management company in to be the property management for this sub, and I'm making I think my cash flow is about $300 a month on that one.
That's great.
So
yeah, that's kind of my that's one of my questions here. So how much time, so it's 24 on, 48 off, fire department, right?
Yep.
So what is that, like 72 hours a week you're working fire department?
Yep.
And is there a lot of downtime in there? Or I mean, I'm
So
sure you're not fighting fires the whole time, are you?
Yeah, no. So our area is the busiest. We're the busiest in a city, top 5 in the country for runs.
Wow.
So we're a really busy company, but we do have some downtime. So a lot of times, just because I'm super active with my kids, like when I'm home, I'm home. So a lot of times, like, that's where I'm getting a lot of like my like day-to-day stuff done in my downtime at the firehouse, because when I'm at home, I'm usually either outside. I've got 2 younger kids also, so they're active. They're active. So we're outside playing, lacrosse, football, all these different things, and then we do a lot as a family. So that's usually where I'm using a lot of my time to really kind of get focused, as I don't have, somebody, daddy. So yes, so we do have some downtime, and that's usually when I'm able to kind of tackle some of the tasks.
Okay. So 3 days minimum a week at the fire department?
Yep. So it's usually how it breaks down. So it's kind of a cool thing. We do what we call a Kelly. So every 6 days, so every third week. So basically, I don't work on Saturdays. So we do like a 24, 48, and then every 3 weeks we get what we call a Kelly day, which when my Kelly day fall, we have 6 days that we don't work.
Got it. Okay. And so fire department, we got that there. And then the personal training, I mean, how much time does this take up?
Yeah. So that's where majority of my time is being taken up, because especially during the summer, like we just went back to our fall hours, but during the summer, I mean, we were 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. sometimes, but now we're 4 p.m. to sometimes 7 8 p.m. So that's where most of my time is taken up. But now that I hired Coach Courtney, she's been taking a lot of the bulk of our sessions, as I was still kind of doing rehab, and I was super heavy involved with that, trying to kind of dial down my system with the group home meeting organizations, kind of kissing the ring, what I call, going to these different organizations that, in my opinion, are poorly ran. That now you got this new guy coming in talking about trying to change the system as a whole, where you got people that's been in these positions for so long, they don't know or see better. They can care less. They've just been conditioned to do the bare minimum, and I'm kind of trying to truly help. So I'm getting a lot of pushback, more than I kind of thought I would get, but it makes sense once you start to dial into the funding that a lot of these organizations are getting. For instance, I'm getting pushback on shared room. So basically having 2 beds in a room, right? So I'm like, okay, so you're telling me you're okay with this person staying in a dormitory style where they've got 15 beds in one room, but not okay with them staying in a house with a shared room, and the funding don't support that. I'm like, how is that possible? And no one can give me a straight answer. They're just
Mm,
like, well, that's how it is. And I'm like, but that's not right. Like, that doesn't make sense to me. When we
yeah.
know that the inventory is short, yes, we want them to have their own place eventually, but if there's no inventory, what's our solution?
Hmm.
Do nothing. And that's where the pushback is coming.
And so, do you feel like, I mean, you're obviously passionate about all these things, right? You're obviously very passionate about the fire department. You're obviously very passionate about, personal training and helping these girls out. And then you're obviously passionate not just on the real estate investment side, but it seems like you really want to tackle a mission here with the group home side of things and really, help people change their lives. And you're obviously a great leader, a great mentor. You obviously have helped your kids and all the kids that you're helping with the personal training. And so I'm sure you want to kind of cause the same, effect there with, the group homes and real estate investing. Where do you feel, I mean, do you feel kind of most pulled towards tackling that venture of the group homes and changing the system there?
Yeah, I think that's kind of my next big passion. I'm like, this is where, kind of like I said, I get in trouble. I always tell my wife, if I was organized and focused, I'd be a millionaire, just because I know I would be able to tackle things a little bit more systematic. But that's my big passion. That's always been a goal. I'm just one of them. Like, if I found something that's got kind of that weak link, I do it, and that's where the whole personal training thing kind of came. I didn't expect it to grow like it has been. But at this point right now, I am hyper focused right now on the group home, and kind of ending and helping the homelessness. As I feel like, and this is one of the cool things, as I'm starting to get more and more people on board. So we, especially at the fire service, I mean, we deal with people at their worst, and you kind of come numb to a lot of the things if you're picking up the same people and things like that. But what I always try to kind of get people to understand is, like, we're either going to always help, either hand up or hand out. Hand out meaning, when that person goes to jail, who pays for that? We do. When that
Mhm.
person goes to the hospital and don't have insurance, we do. So it's like, we're going to help one way or another, and I'd rather be on the forefront of it versus the back end of it. So I think that's where my like true passion comes from, is knowing like I'm helping someone who can't pay me back in return. Like they're not going to be able to pay me back in return. And that just warms my heart, knowing that I'm helping someone who's going to hopefully change their trajectory, be able to change their generational outcome. And that's where I'm at now. So definitely kind of stretching myself thin, but I'm starting to now kind of hone down a little bit and get a better understanding of why I'm doing what I'm doing and what's the most important.
Good, man. I think it's needed, you know. I mean, that's the beautiful thing about, in my opinion, that's the beautiful thing about life in general, is I think it is all possible. I think that, you know, it doesn't matter who you are, where you're from, what your background is, whether you got, you know, need to get a pacemaker at the age of 17. You know, none of these things have to hold you back. You can overcome any of these things and go accomplish whatever you want to. It may not be easy. It's going to require some hard work, but I think it's a, you know, a message that the youth need to hear. And I think it's a message that, you know, people who are homeless and trying to get out of that way of life and kind of conditioned to that way of life need to hear and kind of see the example in front of them. So I think it's beautiful what you're doing.
I think that's why real estate has kind of become like almost this like passion, knowing like you just said, it really doesn't matter where you come from. It's about who you're around, who you're surrounding yourself around, and the thought process that's being put into you. Like you could really change your outcome, generational wealth, by being into real estate. And right now, for me, especially the field that I'm in, it's like anything besides a pension is taboo. So when you start talking about anything besides having a regular pension, working for 30 years and retiring, like these guys think you're crazy. So it's like I'm almost like in a world of my own. That's why the real estate community is so important to me, because I really, it's hard to really talk to family members or friends about real estate and how passionate I am about real estate, because it's this whole taboo thing, because we've been so conditioned to work 30 years, 35 years, 40 years, and then retire with this state pension. And I've never been that conditioned that way. So I'm trying to kind of change that narrative. And I feel like I'm slowly starting to gain some traction as they see someone like me, who looks like me, who grew up in an area that I grew up in, making these choices to say, this is what I want to do. Now I'm going to go out there. I prayed for it. Now I'm going to go out there and get after it and meet people who have been done it already, and not try to reinvent the wheel. I'm so passionate about mentorships, as I know having a solid mentor can keep you from going down that wrong path. One, also when it comes to the real estate, you find someone who's weathered them storms. Now you can not make the same mistakes that have been made multiple times, and it can truly help you and get to where you want to get to.
That's right. Well, what's your message for everybody who's watching this podcast who, you know, wants to invest in real estate similar to your experience, and they just haven't taken that first step yet? What's your piece of advice to those out there watching right now?
Don't do it by yourself. Go get a mentor right now. Go get a mentor. You know, don't be afraid to pay for that mentorship. You know, you got to look at the cost versus time. My time is super valuable. Your time should be super valuable. Pay for the right mentorship so you can kind of not go down the bumpy road that you will. And I also just how, you know, talk about real estate. You know, real estate is definitely one of the best tools to break that, you know, generational poverty chain. I mean, this is a tool that, like I said, I wish I would have knew early on some of the financial decisions that I made. That's why financial literacy is just so important, and that's one of the big tools that I'm hoping to implement into how all my houses will be taught financial literacy, as I know this is definitely one of the tools to really understand the power of money and the power of lending, the power of being able to leverage other people's money. It's just amazing. And it's almost sometimes feels like it's too good to be true, because I'm like, why haven't I not heard of this? Like, I am now, almost 30 years old. And I'm just now hearing about, using other people's money and all these different things. And it's like, all these sub two and all these things that now, but I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, right? All these different, you're starting to hear these seller finances and all these different things, because it's like, man, there are so many options out here. If you really want to do better, you can.
Yeah, absolutely. How can all the viewers and anybody watching this get a hold of you? Maybe somebody is local in Ohio and is like, hey, I need to connect you with this person for the group homes.
Yeah. So right now, you can email me, firemanflip@gmail.com. And then if somebody really wants to connect with me, Instagram, B as in boy, T as in Tony, B as in boy, speed. So BTB speed. On Instagram. That's probably the easier way, as I'm usually with them dang on algorithms, man. I gotta be on it. So I'm usually watching that pretty regularly. So yeah, I love connecting. Like I said, I love connecting. I love getting out. I'm starting to get out of my comfort zone. I had a lot of limiting beliefs with my dyslexia, but now that I'm starting to get super comfortable talking about it, it has lifted this major weight off my shoulder. As I'm starting to get into these rooms where you got people who are truly millionaires who have done this, but being able to talk to this person and being able to articulate some of the words. But that's only going to come with me reading, me being able to dial into all these different books and all these different YouTube podcasts and all these different things, and feeling comfortable holding these conversations that I know I definitely was afraid to do, which was kind of holding me back.
Yeah. Well, congratulations. You've had a lot of success so far. You got a beautiful story, and I only know that it's going to get, much greater from here. You got a lot to accomplish and a lot left to go.
I appreciate it. I hope I wasn't all over the place. I'm trying to get better at kind of honing down and kind of getting a kind of more of a systematic approach of talking about things, because I'm so passionate about everything, but I know that sometimes being over passionate sometimes doesn't come out like I would love to. And then I'll get off this podcast, I'm like, man, I should have said that, I should have said this. But I just hope one person can see this, and maybe they struggled in school and felt like they didn't have any power over their life, to know that you do have power over your life. You just got to get away from the people that you're around, that are telling you what you can and can't do and what you cannot accomplish.
Yeah. Well, you weren't all over the place at all. You were
Yeah.
hyper focused
Okay,
and
I appreciate it.
answered all the questions. So thank you for your time today. And I know that this definitely is going to help a lot of people. So thank you.
I thank you very much. I appreciate you guys having me. It was a pleasure, and I can't wait to review it again. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Tony.